Hey YouTube fans, Tychondris here, getting around to doing another action figure review. Well, actually, technically it's an action vehicle, or figure vehicles, and it is a double review, because I'm going to try and tackle two things from the same series. No, these came out at different times. The Batmobile was first, and the Batcycle with Sidecar was second. But I got both of these from the same source, so I said I'd do a review. And I got these locally from heroesandvillains.ie. I'll put a link in the description below where I got these. I got the Batmobile as a bundle, so I got Batman, who I've already reviewed. I already have a figure for Batman, but I also got Robin, which I will do a quick review of as well, because I hadn't done a review for the Robin figure. I didn't have one. The Batcave and Batmobile, and then I got the sidecar, Batcycle sidecar on its own, and I picked up the Mr. Freeze from that line, the villain Mr. Freeze, along with the villain's lair, but I'm going to do those reviews separate. Today I'm just concentrating on two of the vehicles, or the big vehicles from this line, which is the Batmobile, which is above here, and this is the McFarlane toy line, not the old Mattel one. So you can see it even has an image of that Batcave playset, which I will do a review of when I get around to it, but I'm just doing the two vehicles first. So this is the 1966 Batman Batmobile, or the classic TV series Batmobile. They come in these big boxes, and these are open boxes, they're not window boxes, so you can actually kind of, all the stuff is already taken off. There are things that hold them in place, but they do come with that. And I'll just do a quick 360 of the Batcycle box. So you have the Batcycle with sidecar, and it shows an image of Batman with the Batcave playset as well, kind of an also available sort of thing, and then a photo of the actual bike from the, I'm going to say it was the 66 Batman movie, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this is how it looked in the show and in that made-for-TV movie. And with further ado, I shall slip these out. We'll get cracking on the review for them. So I'm going to move the boxes aside. Bear with me a moment. We shall get the Batmobile and Batcycle out. So the Batmobile, I'll go through the Batmobile first. Now it is a little bit dusty, because I haven't had a chance to clean it up, so it is a little bit dusty. It is not as big as the Mattel one. So I'm going to move the Batcycle completely out of the way while I drop the little sidecar part. And I'm going to bring in the Mattel one for a comparison in a minute. So bear with me momentarily, because they are pretty big. So this is the Batmobile from the McFarlane line. Now it is interesting to note that the hubcaps aren't painted. If I remember correctly, in the TV show these were red. So there is kind of minimal paint apps on it. There is some stuff missing, and there's stuff that is a little kind of that isn't on both. So you kind of have a trade-off between the two. So this thing does measure around from front to about the wing, which is the back, is about 15 and I'd say 15.5 inches. Height wise, it only stands in around 4.5, 5 from the tips of these things, where the emergency light is. And let's bring in for the width. Yes, the width is about 6 inches thereabouts. So it is big enough. It is fairly chunky. Now I do have the Robin figure, which is this one. I do have a horrible cut on my hand, so just I do apologize in advance for that if it looks unsightly. I managed to graze myself while I was doing some work on a thing for a buddy of mine. So this is the McFarlane version of Robin, and we'll bring in the Mattel one because I do have that one handy. So you can see the differences. The legs on the Mattel one are a lot skinnier. His waist is actually slightly higher, I think, and he is a slight bit taller on the old one compared to the new one. So if I just bring the tape measure, you can see he should stand just a little over 5.5, and the other one is just a bit over that 5.5 inches. Because this is 6-inch line and Robin was a smaller character, that does stack up. In fact, if I bring in the Batman, who I have already reviewed, you can see he was in a seated position for the bike, so you can see he does stand a little bit taller than Robin, as he should. So the only accessory Robin comes with is a pair of these things, which are kind of hit or miss depending whether you like them or not. They're like when they used to punch people, the sound, they'd put a to block the physical connection, they'd have like a sound thing that would pop up on the screen. So I think that was to get away around it being too overly violent for back in the 60s. I don't know, it was something they did then. So overall, it's not a bad looking Batmobile. It is fairly plain underneath. It does have just a grey piece for the thruster. You can see the for the, was it the turbo nuclear exhaust or something it was. I can't remember exactly what they called it. It does have a bat phone, which is inside here, which is tiny. It does have a handbrake, does have fire extinguisher detail. It does have the steering wheel. It has this weird thing on the front that I think if it kind of comes up and was like a little radar dish kind of thing. The wheels do spin quite nicely. It is a bit smaller than the other one, so without further ado, I shall get the other one. This is the Mattel version, which is a good at least 2 inches longer. In fact, if I put the Mattel one behind, you can see the difference actually. So this is the Mattel one. As you can see, the red on the hubcaps is on this. So you can see there is a good, if I bring this back to the back, you can see there is a good couple of inches on the McFarlane, on the Mattel one over McFarlane. This thing on the front on the Mattel one is gold or bronzy color. There's a bit more stickers there. You can see the door handles, it's wider at the side as well. So if I just bring that up to the side, you see it is actually wider, because you can see the detail of the door handles. And there's like, it does have, the McFarlane one does have this kind of venting on it, which the other one does not. So there is slight differences in the designs, but overall it is the same. It's supposed to be the same car. Now I will say that I much prefer the Mattel one over the McFarlane one. So if I get Batman and the Boy Wonder into this thing, bear with me a moment, you'll see why in a second. The one thing I do feel about this Batmobile, and a lot of other reviewers have said this about this version of the Batmobile, is it feels a way too undersized. See, actually even sitting in, yeah, he is sitting in. He does feel a way too undersized for the characters, because if you look at the front, you can see their heads are way above the glass. Even if I just bring it that way, you can see their heads are actually sitting way above the front glass piece. Which, if you ever watched the show, I know this is a very old show, so some of the people who watch this review will probably predate it, if that's the right word. This one is a lot more in scale. I don't think there is that issue with the bike as much, but with this one, if I get the Batman, now there is seatbelts in this one, so you have to kind of move them out of the way where you get figures in. It is nice that both figure lines were done in a 6-inch scale, so you can actually get both Batman and Robin into this. His cape's going to be all over the place, so let me just get them in. Robin's not so much, because his cape is a little bit smaller than Batman's, but we'll get them in as best as I can. And if you see there, it's hard to see, but you can see they actually sit behind the rim of the glass on this. The other difference is the glass actually has a rim on this. It has silver rim, whereas the other one just is plain glass. So, excuse me. There is that. So, moving on from the Batmobile, we'll just grab the figures out because we need them for this. Moving on from the Batmobile, you can see there's actually the phone detail in this as well. The phone is way bigger. It looks like they can actually hold the receiver of the phone. There's a whole bunch of stuff like the emergency brake and the, I think was it the thing that made it turn around and stuff like that. There's a lot more detailing on the interior for what it is. We shall get on to the Bat bike, or the Bat cycle with sidecar. Now, one thing that is of interest for this is actually not the first one that they ever did in the show. The first Bat cycle and sidecar, well, did it have a sidecar? It did. The first Batman Bat cycle and sidecar that was on the TV series, it showcased in an episode where, I can't remember the title of the episode, but it's the one where the Penguin pretends to be a good guy, and basically he frames Batman and Robin for a whole bunch of crimes. The police, or the Gotham police, basically shoot Batman and Robin, but with what are they called, the fake rubber bullets, the blanks. So it appears that they're dead, and Penguin steals the Batmobile. So he calls it the Birdmobile. He puts on, I think he throws a few umbrellas on it and just calls it the Birdmobile. I can't remember if he even changes the actual logos, the Bat logos on it, but he's driving around in it. And then when Batman and Robin decide to reveal that they haven't been actually killed, they actually drive a Bat cycle, and in that version of the Bat cycle, it's actually, if I remember correctly, it's a Harley Davidson that they modified. So it's just a kind of a classic style, not chopper, but more of a classic style bike, just with the black and red trim like the car has, like the Batmobile. It didn't, I think it had the Bat emblem on it, and then it just had big mirror pieces, or big plastic kind of contours for it to be the actual, you know, to give those Batwing designs that were on the shield. And on the Bat cycle, it also had like a big kind of plastic kind of glass bat mirror thing, or not mirror thing, but bat designed kind of wing design on it for the glass canopy, or the glass piece that would be over the, where the handlebars sit and where the person in the sidecar would sit. But this is the Batmobile as it appeared, or Batmobile, the Bat cycle as it appeared in the movie, if I remember correctly. And I think that was the first iteration of it. I don't know if it came back then for the TV series, because I've been trying to do a little bit of research on it. And as I said, is technically the second Bat cycle, not the first one. The first Bat cycle didn't have this ejecting sidecar gimmick that I do remember seeing them use once or twice. So I think the idea was that when Batman was driving along, and they would basically fire this thing off, and Robin got his own little scout sidecar thing, which actually has the Robin symbol on it, which is kind of interesting, yet kind of, you know, unlike Robin getting his own motorbike in the movies, in the Joel Schumacher movies, he got this little dinky thing to fly along on. So it does have wheels. They do roll pretty well. It's fairly plain. It's just a bit of black plastic with the Robin logo, these handlebars, and this glass canopy piece. Now it does look like there probably could have been extra paint apps on this for the rim here. It looks like it's meant to be a steel bar, kind of like similar to the Batmobile, the one that goes over the windows or the windscreen, but unfortunately it doesn't. Now there is one thing I will say about these Batman figures, and I did point it out to did send a message to McFarlane about it. Whether or not they will read it, I don't know. The one downside about these classic figures for the Batman series, and they haven't corrected it yet, and I'm not sure if they will, because I'm not sure if they're going to do another. They've done a couple of Robin figures. They've done a black and white version of the Robin figure. They've done an unmasked version of the Robin figure without his kind of bandit mask thing that he wears. The one glaring issue with these is these have 2 handlebars on it. These guys only have one hand that can grip. The other hand is in a permanent fist, which is kind of annoying. Like, if I bring in the classic one from Mattel, you probably won't be able to sit on this thing too well, but he does have 2 gripping hands, so he can actually hold on to the bat bike thing, or the sidecar piece, a little bit better than the other Robin. So it all depends on which ones you want to go with on this. Same with the Batman. The Batman in that line as well, I believe, had 2 grip hands, so you can actually hold the bat cycle itself. Again, same thing with Batman. He only has a punching fist on one side and a grip hand on the opposite side. It doesn't look like they're going to be changing that anytime soon, maybe. What would be nice is if they did an accessory pack where they came with additional hands. Like, if they have announced they're doing a Wayne Manor room set, which is the kind of room which had the bust that opens up, presses the lever, and the bookcase slides back. It would be nice if they gave you extra hands for Batman and Robin. In that, I don't know if you'd be able to swap them out, because I haven't tried ever swapping the hands on those, but it would be nice just so they can hold the handlebars on the bike, and even grip the handlebar or the steering wheel on the Batmobile. The bat cycle itself, we bring it back into tape measure. So it is around, from the kind of front cowl piece to the largest part, which is the tip of the exhaust, or this piece here, it is around the 8 inches, just under the 8 inches. It does stand a bit taller than the Batmobile, because I think it's about 5 1/4. So it is wider from the sidecar part. So it is wide on that. It's 5 inches for that. But if you're just going by the motorbike piece at the front, you could potentially probably take this whole sidecar piece off and just have the bat cycle on its own if you wanted to. The bat cycle itself is very thin. It's only about 2 inches in width, but like, these are kind of screwed together. I think, yeah, I can see screws in there, so you have to completely unscrew this thing or just snap these off if you didn't want this sidecar part. It would be a shame, because it is a kind of cool design, but if you're customizing the bike or doing something with the bike itself, you might have to, if you didn't like this sidecar piece, because it's not a sidecar in the normal sense of a sidecar where the person sits in it. If I remember correctly, Robin was always kind of kneeling on it and it just fires out. It does have the kind of siren thing that the Batmobile has. Detailing wise, it's not too bad. So you have paint apps for this, the paint apps for the Bat logo, which is the same logo on the Batmobile. You have this clear canopy piece for the front cowling. You have this nice cowling. One thing that is a bit of a shame as well is it doesn't have a steering column that works. It's just solid, but it does roll quite nicely, and it does have a hidden wheel here on the sidecar, which is nice enough. It does have rolling wheels for the front too, and has exhaust. And as I said, this thing has rolling wheels. It just sits in. There is an indent for where the wheels of this thing sits. It doesn't lock into place, so like the slightest little bump will fling it out. So that is another kind of little bit of a downside of it. It would be nice if they had been if they could have put something in here or just at the back that clips it in place, so you don't risk it just randomly falling out the minute you pick it up. Because like I said, it just flies along the place. But overall, they aren't too bad. The Batmobile itself, if I just bring it back in there, it does work with the Batcave. It does work with the figures, albeit it is a bit smaller than the figures, or than it should be for the figures. I think the Mattel one is a bit more proper scaled. So, excuse me, if you were so inclined, you could get the Mattel version of the Batmobile, but get the Batcycle for McFarlane, because it is a good rendition. They have recently just announced that they're doing a Batboat, which I'm excited for. And, well, at the time of this recording, they announced they're doing a Batboat and that Wayne Manor set. And I'm hoping that if we get the Batboat, we'll also get the Bat chopper or helicopter that they did for the movie. The Batboat, Batcycle, and the Batcopter were all kind of stuff that they use in that 66 movie. So I'm hoping we might get that. And if that's a possibility, maybe, just maybe, they might do a redesigned Batman where he has the two grip hands, so they can hold on to stuff that's in the helicopter or on the boat, or the, you know, all the stuff that should be going along with these. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick, well, I hope it's quick video review of the Batmobile from McFarlane Toys and the Batcycle from McFarlane Toys. So I hope you enjoyed this video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Cheers!